Hi, I'm Debbie Bricker, and I want to thank you for letting me send in the video versus coming in. Sorry I could not be there, and I was told that I had to do a lesson on factoring trinomials, so I didn't know where you wanted me to start, so I'm going to assume that my students already know a little bit about factoring trinomials and what a trinomial is, but I always start new lessons with prior information. So here we go. I would ask my students to recall what a trinomial is, recall some information. So I would say, BJ, what is a trinomial? And hopefully I would get words like there are three terms in there, they're attached by addition or subtraction, and I would say, excellent job. And then I would say to another student, maybe Bill, could you give me an example of a trinomial? And Bill might say 2x plus 2y plus 6. And I would say, excellent job, Bill, way to go. And then we already covered factoring, so I would ask another student to factor, and maybe they would give me, first they would look for your GCF, and I would prompt this if they couldn't get that. So the greatest common factor between all those terms is the 2. And I would have just covered what we have already completed in the days previous. Excuse me. But today's special day is we are going to be doing factoring special quadratics. Special quadratic. And they might not have heard, or remember what this word means. This means this is a second degree. So in other words, it has a squared term in it. So factoring special quadratic trinomials. So before I did that, I would want to recall more information on what they did previously. They've already multiplied binomials together, so I'm going to recall that information also. So let's recall prior knowledge and do a couple of things that they already know how to do. So if I did x plus 4 times x plus 2, and then I would have students pair share. They would work together and give me an answer for this, and hopefully they would come up with this. And I will show all steps here because I'm going to prove a point. And then we would combine like terms and get that. And everybody, I would make sure everybody in the room has this answer. And we'll do another one. So let's do x minus 1 times the quantity x plus 3. And they would I would let them do this again individually or in pairs. Have the 1 showing there, minus 3. And their final answer, putting like terms together, would be that. Woohoo, everybody got that right? Great job. Now, I would want to do some investigative work. And I wouldn't say what I'm looking for, but I would box these terms and this constant. These terms and this constant. And he listed all answers on how those are related. And hopefully, well, I haven't had any problems with that before, but I will get to the answer that 2 plus 4, or 2 times 4 is the 8. 3 times the negative 1 is the negative 3. And then hopefully, without circling this 6, I will get somebody to say, hey, look, and 2 plus 4 is this 6. And 3 minus that 1 is that 2. So I would say, great job. You guys now know how to factor quadratic trinomials. And I'd get question marks saying, what? What do you mean? We didn't factor. We multiply. So then I'm going to go to our actual lesson for the day and do a couple of problems. And now I want them to factor because they know how to do it. So number 1, let's start with one of the examples that we just did, and I want them to factor. I talk about, is it a trinomial? Why is it a quadratic trinomial or second degree trinomial, etc., etc. So let's factor that. So what we did over in the other problem was we had what factors of 8, which are 1, 8, 2, 4, would multiply to get the 8 or add to get the 6. Which set multiplies to 8 and also adds to 6? And obviously it's this one. So they can drop that into their binomials. When they FOIL, x times x is the x squared, and they've already determined to use the positive 2 and the positive 4. And I said you have just now factored a quadratic trinomial. And hopefully they'll have some more success when we do another example. Let's do x squared, an easy one again. And I'd let them try this on their own. And if they have problems, I would prompt all the factors of 12 that multiply to get the 12 or add to get this 7. And it's this one. And obviously they would get their answer. Now let's do one more problem where I put a little wrinkle, little hitch in their giddy up. Let's do this one. Put some negatives in there because this is where they sometimes have problems. And I would let them do the same thing on their own. Factor this into 2 binomials. They know it's x and x. They just need these 2 terms. Well, the factors of 6 are 6 and 1 and 2 and 3, and I need this negative 5. So how do these add to negative 5? So, and I'm putting eyeballs on here. This, in my classes, means to watch out. Trouble ahead, so you got to be careful. So a negative 6 and a positive 1 is that negative 5. And a negative 2 and a negative 3 is also that negative 5. Uh-oh, scary, scary. Watch out, Will Robinson. So make sure, but you've got to check that these multiply to get a negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6, so that pair is eliminated. Negative 6 times positive 1 is the negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5, so I have just factored. And it's always good to check, but you've really much already done your checking here. So just to check, I would have them check x squared minus 6x plus 1 minus 6, and they get x squared minus 5x minus 6. Bingo. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.